Hello and welcome to Thompson. I am William Lebowski, and today we have a GTE race at Imola. It's a culmination of a couple things of me practicing for a couple GTE things, me testing out a few GTE things, and being at Imola a lot, and as well as wanting some sort of endurance kind of race-based action. And you can see this one kind of gets off to a very quick start. Right away you can see I was kind of quick to get the recording going. I had been practicing and actually had been running races and recording them, but not actually recording them, just running them thinking I was. And so I was lucky to get the jump, and so I thought I'm going to keep this luck streak moving, and we're going to just keep running with this race. And then that wreck happened right in front of me. But anyway, this is a GTE sprint race, and I guess it's a sprint race because I'm just testing out some things with the GTE class as I'm looking forward to competing further in endurance racing, specifically in the GTE class. And at this point, I'd been spending a lot of time in the M8, and so I wanted to put together a race to see kind of how the practice had been coming together, and to see how the laps were forming, and just to see how kind of things would go in more of a simulated race environment. Obviously, this is not a multiplayer race. This is an AI experience, but aside from just running practice laps on the track, I think it's always a solid piece of practice to run races, particularly races that you think are a little bit above your pay grade when it comes to the AI, because I think that makes you more cautious, makes you more aware, and it makes you less likely to try to make stupid mistakes, other than at the end of races, because when you get to the end of an AI race, you don't necessarily mind ruining a computer's day, as opposed to a real-life person. You might not pit maneuver or bang the side of their car just to make it through a turn. And so that being said, I have partnered up with some teammates, and we are entering different leagues, different 24-hour races, different events, and we're going to compete on the amateur sim racing level. I'm really excited about that. It's like thinking of myself as like a competitive sim racing driver, even in like the most amateur regard, is super exciting to me. I never thought that this would happen, and so I'm really excited about it. Or at the very least, I thought it would be something that I would have to put together. I never thought there would be another racing entity that would want me to race with them in a competition. And speaking of racing in competition, one thing that I was saying, it's nice to run race conditions, because you're pushing your car at 100% for that race. And as we've just have seen a couple corners ago, if you hit any of those yellow sausages in any of these corners, it looks like it is enough to throw your car in the air and to actually throw you on two wheels and spin you around a bit. So one major thing, to learn, not just, it'll spin you out like you might hit them in practice and see it, but to see it from behind, how much that'll not knock you off your line, but actually remove you from the track and actually wreck you as well as the rest of the field. It's good to know. It's great to know. It's nice to know where I have advantages on the track compared to the level-handed AI. So going forward, it's just nice to keep when you're hammering away laps. It's nice little progress report, I feel like, to check in on these AI races. This race was only at 100% AI level. R Factor 2 goes up to 120. I'm sure you know that if you're already familiar with the game. So I'm going to be notching that up as I go, especially as I get more practice in the GTE class. But that really reminds me to get to talking about kind of the focus shift for videos as well as for me in sim racing. And that focus shift is, number one, I want to talk about how I can share the story, so to say, that is a race. One thing I was talking about in Discord, link below if you're interested in checking out this conversation or joining F1 hot lap competitions, is that how do you tell the story of a race without just showing the race in its entirety? Because if you just show a bunch of clips of passes on cars, you don't really care, because you don't really care about the context it took to get that pass. You don't really care about the effort that it took to get up to that car's bumper. And for a while, I was just thinking, oh, well, that's kind of a bit of an impossibility, or there's something that I'm not going to be able to do. And then I realized that's kind of my job if I'm going to be a racing creator, sim racing video creator, is to tell the story of races. And sometimes that means not, showing the entire race. I feel like for, like these, we're talking about these endurance races. I feel like, live events of, those work really well, or even full videos of, those type of races have their own place because they're such an endurance-based event. But when it comes to a video like this, where it's a 15-minute race, not every moment of that 15 minutes is worth watching. And not every moment of that 15 minutes builds the narrative of how that race went, or what experiences happened in the middle of the race. So we can see we have 6 minutes left and now at this point in time. So I'm finding a way to include both the timing elements to give a sense of time, and I'm also trying to give that a sense of urgency with my placement. So you can see we're 6 minutes left in this race, and we're sitting just outside the podium. So we kind of know what we need to do here, and how many cars per minute we need to get around. And I'm just having this experience where I'm not faster than the car in front of me. So you either have to make a really risky move, or you have to, wait till they make a mistake, or where you can find more speed than them in a particular section of track. And I think a previous me would have found an opportunity to dive bomb, or found an opportunity to YOLO it into, which is kind of forcing something that wasn't going to work and was going to make me spin out and, destroy the end of this race, spending more than half the time getting there, and, ruining in a stupid maneuver is something that I would be more likely to do without thinking. That's it, without thinking. And so preparing myself for these long style endurance races, I'm, preparing myself to think about that, and preparing myself to think, you have 6 minutes. You don't need to put dangerous moves on cars with 6 minutes to go. And in fact, there's very rare situations in which putting those dangerous moves on cars are actually, even worth it to begin with. So finally finding ourselves in a top 10 situation. It took, 2.5 minutes to get around that car. We have 3.5 minutes left in the race. I should know that at this point in time that there mathematically is, it's possible to win still. But there we go. We move now into second place, or so we thought. But it's at this point in time now that I'm battling with this guy for second place that I'm starting to think more and more and more about how that lead is drifting away from me. And that was actually a negative for me. Across the ending of this race. I should have been much less focused on that first position. Instead, I should be focused on my line choice, my exit of corner speed, and the guy right in front of me instead. Or maybe even the guy right behind me. And like we said, how much time, it took 2.5 minutes to get in front of that stubborn car. And we had 3.5 minutes left in this race. So we know that there's going to be moments presented to ourselves, for this next car. So it's mathematically possible to win if we sit down and think about it. And so that's just something that I wasn't really doing, and it ended up costing me. I think we can start seeing here in these clips, I'm trying to make these desperate moves on these cars in front of me, and they're just not working. And as a result, it's adding more time to get back up to the bumper of the car. So I think, especially in watching this in review, you can see how many opportunities, you can kind of string together, and how many opportunities get added on to that list if you push forward in a hasty manner. And so again, we're coming up to a position of track where passes are possible. I'm close on the bumper, but I'm not close enough for passes, but still, going a little bit heavy into these corners, trying to make sure we're there. And again, we just end up losing time on this guy's back wheel, or back bumper rather. It costs us two positions here very late in the race. It's a dangerous position to be in. Luckily, the car in front has a mistake, and we can get around both of them on this long straightaway, since they had an error getting out of the corner, which is going to make them slower as they move through this long straight. So if it wasn't for this long straight, that would have been a pretty dangerous situation. But so at this point in time, this is our last lap of the race, and my only goal is to hold this podium. And it does me thinking about this race and describing, you know, what I'm doing through this post commentary. It's making me think about this race in my driving in general and driving skill. And I thought that I was going to be able to have some sort of live commentary as this race went, but I'm really finding that I can do two things. I can just not do them at once, because for a while I was trying to drive at the absolute limit and hold a conversation, and it was working to a certain degree. But I'm really learning I can drive, you know, decently fast as a, you know, respectable racer if I'm putting 100% into the focus of the racing, like in this video, and, you know, worrying about commentary after the fact. And there are other videos I make where I knock down the competition, so to say, knock down the AI level, knock down what I'm doing, and I'm able to have this, you know, really immersive battle, but still maintain conversation along the way. And so I think that those also make for solid videos. Like when going over updates, like a video in the future that will be that style will be whenever AMS2 releases their GTE pack, coming out very, very, very soon. It should be by the end of this month, and so we're within the next 2 weeks. We're looking at that, so that's to be expected for me. I'm definitely going to dive into a AMS2 full endurance race for sure. And then beyond that, that's what I got for this video. Third place, we locked down a podium position, but we're going to keep working on that endurance stuff. We'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.